there's two objectives. The first is we want to build your brand so that when you get in touch with your dream companies, they go and check you out and they say, this is the guy we want to have on the team. Additionally, we want when they go looking for somebody, they find you. The second thing is that we want to broaden our network, right? Like be connecting with the people in our dream companies. So we want to raise our awareness, our visibility, broaden our network, and establish our credibility. So establishing or reinforcing your professional brand. The mechanics of this are they sound relatively simple, and I know that this is something that people struggle with. Somebody put in the chat that they struggle with posting. First off, the goal should be to write a post yourself 3 to 5 times a week. If you're going to do 3 times a week, it should be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if we're getting really nitpicky, you should post it between 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. So the first thing is everybody's chosen 3 roles, right? 3 job titles. The way that you pick your broad topics is think about if somebody that you work with has no idea what your department does, what are the things they need to know about? They don't need all the details that you don't have to impart all of the knowledge. You're just making them aware. Think about if you were to have a meeting and there's something really important to discuss and nobody had ever heard of it before versus they've seen articles in the Wall Street Journal. So establishing our brand. I recommend keeping a Google Doc with just quick notes, links to articles that you found interesting that are related to your field, and that the way that you should write a post is you have a 1,300 character limit in LinkedIn. This basically amounts to about 2 to 3 good sized paragraphs. The post that you see here that I wrote on artificial intelligence is maxed out. I had to trim it down to make it fit. You don't have to write a novel. You're not writing a bunch of stuff. If you are writing about an article, the most important thing, like I cannot stress this enough, do not put the link to the article in your post. The reason is LinkedIn, like all social media platforms, is run on an algorithm. And the job of the algorithm is to keep eyeballs on LinkedIn screens. So when you post a link, when you put a link to an external article in your post, LinkedIn automatically reduces the visibility of that post by a lot. So what you want to do is write something that people might find interesting, that shows off your area of expertise. And if you have an article, so this particular post, the picture actually comes from an article from Scientific American. And you can see I credited them in the post, but that's linking to their LinkedIn page. So the difference, I think, Leslie, you asked, what's the difference between using the @ symbol and a hashtag? So when you see Scientific American lit up in blue here, that is the @ symbol. And this is tagging people. So when I tagged Scientific American, everybody who follows them potentially will see this post.
Why potentially?
So the way that the algorithm works in general is when you write a post, it is going to go out to about 10% of your network, plus people that you tag, and then companies that you tag, a certain percentage of the people that follow them that may or may not be in your network. If people like your post, comment on your post, take the time to click the little more button and read it, the algorithm says, oh, people are interested in this post, and LinkedIn really doesn't care what it's about, just that people are interested. So once you get over that hurdle of the first 10% and a certain number engaging, now it sends it out to more of your network and more of the network of anybody tagged. So that's the @ symbol. The way hashtags work is it's essentially a subject that people can follow, just like they follow companies. But you need to be careful about which hashtags you use, and I'm going to get to why that is in a minute. But so the big point here is you're showing off your knowledge, your subject matter expertise. You're trying to engage people, and you're not putting external links. So this is why we don't put external links. So this is a guy that I know, and he's really very well respected commercial real estate expert in Tampa, and he posted this article from about the economy, Ben Bernanke. So not a lot of people saw this post because all he did was post an external link with a couple of hashtags. This doesn't do anything to build his brand, really. It's sharing information. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. But if the objective is to broaden our network, raise our profile, increase our level of expertise or our perceived level of expertise, a post like this, this is the type of post that most people do, it does absolutely nothing for you. Makes Ben Bernanke look fantastic. The thing with hashtags is there are a certain number of followers. When I first started posting back in September, a lot of my posts had to do with how businesses were adjusting to COVID-19. And so the very first time I posted, I figured, well, I should probably put in a hashtag about COVID-19. And so I typed hashtag COV, and LinkedIn suggested this hashtag. So I went with it. Well, a few weeks later, I started learning about hashtags and things, and I realized that COVID-19 has 1,276 followers at that time. Without the dash, 1.1 million. The difference between these is really subtle, but if I use this hashtag, my potential audience is 1,276 beyond my network. Here it's let's round up and call it 1.2 million, right? So 1,200, 1.2 million. The moral of the story is choose the hashtag with more followers, and it relates. The other thing is we have a hashtag for the group. I'll put it in the chat, but the hashtag that we have for the group is hashtag the job attraction system. So if you use this in your posts, then everybody in the group potentially will see it. So this is how hashtags work.
So Avik,
Yeah.
two questions. You are showing the number of followers for a hashtag. How would I see that the number of followers?
Sure.
And the second question is basically, if I know the persons who I'm targeting, how would I know what hashtags they follow? Because then I can use that hashtag when I post it.
Yeah, that's a very good question. The first thing is, how do you know which hashtags have the most followers? One way is I actually have a hashtag library that I maintain after the webinar, after office hours tonight. I will repost the link to that.
Okay.
So anybody in the group is welcome to utilize that. It's basically just the hashtag and the number of followers. You'll have edit permissions, so you can feel free to add hashtags that are relevant to you. We also have an article with, I think, the most, I think Paul found it, the 100 hashtags with the most followers. And then recently somebody posted in the Slack group, LinkedIn has hashtags for the day of the week. So those are all good suggestions. The way that you know what hashtags would have more followers, or how many followers a hashtag has, is you just type it into the search. So if I type in hashtag data analytics, and there you can see it tells you 107,532 followers. The best way to really kind of find, sometimes LinkedIn will suggest extra hashtags, and I just keep a separate tab open and I'll search those. And then other times I'll find a list. The way that you would find what hashtags people are following is to, when you go to the hashtags, it will show you down at the bottom there for interests. And so this would be where I would start looking for hashtags. So I don't see something for what hashtags she's following, but you can see the people that she's following, you can see the companies,
Mhm.
and you can see the groups that she's in and the school. So for somebody that you really want to catch their eye, I would start looking at posts from all of these places and see what hashtags are popping up.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Bobby, you had talked about not posting links to external articles
Mhm.
in the actual post itself. I had put a question in the chat box. What about posting it in the comment section below and putting like a notation in the post saying, see, full article in comment section below?
That's exactly the way you should do it. And actually, I wouldn't even put the note in the actual post, not because it won't pick up, the algorithm won't pick up on. I just think I don't know, it looks weird. I usually just talk about the article and reference it. I might tag the publisher or something like that. And then in the very first comment, my very first comment is, here's a link to the article that I mentioned in my post.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
So that way, you're still giving credit. You're not plagiarizing or anything like that. With establishing your brand, there's a kind of a two-pronged strategy here. The first is you want some people that will comment or like, that will engage with the post. And so my recommendation is, one of the reasons why we have the Slack group is so that we can all collaborate. Tag a few people, then go into Slack and say, hey guys, I just posted something. I tagged you. Please take a look, comment if you can, something along those lines. If you get 3 or 4 people to comment on your post, your views will go up times 10, roughly, from 2 or 3 comments.
So Avi, when you say tag the people, I need to put an @ and put
Yep.
in Avi Adler.
But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, as an example. And when you, in LinkedIn, when you start typing and you type @AVI, like, it's going to suggest, you're going to see my name pop up and you just click on it.
And the tagging will be visible to everybody who reads my post.
The tagging will be visible, yes. It's that, and that's not a bad thing, because the other thing it does is, so as an example, when my network's not super huge, I've got about 1,600 people in my network. Arthur's got 20,000. So when you tag me, you're getting, in that first round, up to 150 people from my network that may or may not also be part of your network. But when you tag Arthur, it's probably not the 10% because he's got so many followers, but you're getting into over 1,000 people now. The way the algorithms work, it's not a perfect like 5th grade math problem, unfortunately, because it's harder to figure out. But one of the things I did when I first started, and actually Megan Sibilia helped me with it, was we got a bunch of people together one day and said, okay, on this particular day, we're all going to post about a similar subject. We picked a similar group of hashtags. We tagged each other. We all commented, and then we compared those posts to posts that we had done over the previous week. And I took the statistics from all of those that we could manually gather: how many hashtags they had, how many people they tagged, how many followers, the total combined followers for all the hashtags they used, and then how many comments and reactions they had, and how many followers they had after a certain period of time. And from that, that's how I can tell you, like, I can't rebuild LinkedIn's algorithm, but I can tell you these are the things that influence whether your posts get seen the most. We want to tag people in the group. We want to tag dream companies. And then you want to tag people from your network or people that you're following who are connected to your dream companies.
And this should be for every post we make,
Every post you make. Yes.
even if what we're posting on, if one of my dream companies is Honeywell.
Right?
Even if my post has nothing directly to do with Honeywell, I should still tag them?
Well, no. So we all have a list of what, 20 to 25 dream companies at least. Since what we're doing is building our reputation and our image, there should be a couple companies on your list every day that, like, oh, if they saw this, they would think highly of me. They would think I was a good fit. So you're rotating, if that makes sense. You're not tagging Honeywell every single day.
And does this apply also for when we make comments on someone else's post, or just when we do our own posts?
Just when you do your own post. When you comment on someone else's post, you want to just further the conversation. And this goes for commenting on somebody from GCA, but also the next thing we're going to get into is commenting on posts with people from your dream company. So doing it with people from the Slack group, from GCA, this is what Arthur refers to as going to the gym. You're working out, you're getting in the habit. I'm not going to get upset if you said the wrong thing on one of my posts or whatever, right? It's not that big a deal. When you comment on a post from somebody at a dream company, what you really want is for them to respond and start a discussion, right? And so if you're commenting in such a way that you're furthering the discussion, that people start to engage, that raises your visibility with them. If you just like, hey, nice article, thanks for sharing. Okay, there's nothing particularly wrong with that. But again, it's like posting a link to an article without saying anything. It does nothing to raise your brand, to reinforce your brand. Getting with your dream companies, right? Raising your visibility with your dream companies. You should be following your dream companies, all the companies on your list. And the example that I pulled is Allstate, which was not one of my dream companies, which was actually why I picked it, because I wanted to show you guys what the screen looks like when you come to a company that you're not following. So you search for Allstate, Honeywell, whatever. When you get to their page, to their business page, there's the little follow button, and you should click that. When we looked at Eileen's profile a few minutes ago, and I brought up all the companies that she's following, that's now public. So everybody at the company can see that you're following them. And this is a good thing because there are recruiters out there, a significant percentage, that when they go to fill a role, they will search LinkedIn and see who pops up. If too many people pop up, the next thing they do is go, okay, from this list, who's following my company? The people who are following the company are the first ones that they contact. So you want to be in that first list. So your dream companies, follow them. You can see how many employees right in the top right-hand corner. And if you click that, it will take you to them. You can filter by, is there anybody in my network? Is there anybody that's a second level connection? See how you can get connected with people at that company. The third thing is this over here, which I ignored for the first 4 weeks of my job search. And it was a mistake because these are going to be companies that are similar in some way, shape, or form. And again, LinkedIn doesn't necessarily know exactly how they're similar. What they know is that there's some industry connection, and that people who look at Allstate also tend to look at State Farm, Liberty Mutual, Progressive, and so on. And so you want to look at those and decide, is this a company I should add to my list of dream companies? And if the answer is no, fine. If the answer is yes, then like follow them. Same rules apply. What you want to do here is find some employees at the company, preferably you want to go management level and higher, who are actively posting on LinkedIn. And this, I will admit, is time consuming. So Leslie, you said that Honeywell is one of your dream companies.
As an example, yes.
Okay. Is it one of your dream companies?
It happens to be, yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. So I'm going to go to Honeywell, and so they have several like subsidiaries.
First one.
First one, this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
All right. So again, I'm not following Honeywell, but if Honeywell were on my list, the first thing I would do is click follow. Now, the next thing is LinkedIn's going to try to get you connected. They're going to tell you, like, well, first of all, Honeywell has almost 2 million followers. So when you tag Honeywell in a post, when you write a post that is relevant to Honeywell, tag them. So I'm going to follow. The next thing I'm going to do is this link right here where it says 13 people from your school work here. I'm a huge fan of right clicking and open in a new tab so that I don't lose my place. So here are 11 people that are currently with the company that went to the same graduate school I did. What I would do is start looking at these people's profiles, and I don't see anybody that I recognize right off the bat. So we're going to go with Sonny. I'm going to click on him. He's Vice President of Strategic Sourcing at Honeywell Aerospace. And I can see right here, he's connected to one of my professors who actually I know, and I know this professor very well. So what I'm going to do is click on his profile. I'm going to look and see like what does Sonny, how active is he? So he's got over 1,000 followers. We've got 2 connections in common. And now I'm going to look at his activity and I'm going to see, this tells you the things that when you asked about like what hashtags people are following, this is one of those ways. This all activity shows you, okay, he liked this. It's not necessarily about Honeywell. So I don't know how he knows this person, but there's the hashtags that she used. And so that's one way to figure out, kind of tease out what hashtags are people following. The next thing I'm going to do is go to his posts and, oh, yeah, okay, there he is. 3 weeks ago, he shared a post from Boeing. It's obviously relevant to what he does. Like he has a hashtag in there that Boeing also used. He's familiar with this project in some way, shape, or form. So what you're going to do in a situation like this is read the article and write a comment in such a way that you're starting a conversation or furthering the conversation. And this guy is a vice president at a major company with 1,000 people following him, and nobody has commented on it yet. Here, 2 weeks earlier, he posted this. Again, nobody's commented. So if you can write a comment where you're saying something intelligent about these posts, you're getting his attention. And you can do that before you ever send him a connection request. However, if I were like in this particular situation, I would connect with this guy, right? I would send him a connection request right away. And I wouldn't say, hey, I'm looking for a job or I need opportunities. My message with the connection request would be, hey, I see you went to University of Tampa and that you're connected with Dr. Ginzarli. I took all of his classes in graduate school and, found them really interesting. I'd love to connect with you.
Right. Or in addition to that, you can read the post on the article and the comment that he did and reference that if you didn't go to school with him, but it's still somebody that you want to connect with. And that's probably going to flatter him because as of right now, no one has even commented on that post. So there's a lot of ways that you can network. You know, at the end of the day, what is the purpose of all of this? It's networking. You know, networking today is no longer waiting to show up at some conference or a meeting and have really limited information about somebody. It's a new age, but if you're using old tools, you're not going to get the same results.
Well, and think about it this way. If you went to an in-person, like a happy hour networking thing, and you saw a guy across the room and you were like, hey, I saw that article you posted a couple weeks ago. I found it really interesting because of this, this, and this. You have a much better opportunity of establishing a rapport, engaging in a longer than 30-second conversation with him than if you went up and went, hey, Sonny, I hear you're the vice president. Can you help me find a job? So this is how we engage and how we raise our visibility with this is one way. The next thing you're going to do is come back to Honeywell's main page and you're going to scroll down and you're going to see that they post things. And here again, right? Honeywell, 1.8 million followers. Here's something they posted 15 hours ago, 100 reactions and no comments.
Let me just make a point on this. This is very important. I was telling Avi today, I was on Zoom calls all day. And even with a lot of people that are on this Zoom and people in general, but people think that they're competing against so many other people. But what we're showing you and why, you know, this works is because you're not going about doing the exact same thing. Yeah, if there's a post that Honeywell did and there's 100 likes and nobody commented, no HR person, no decision maker is going to look through 100 likes.
That's not worth their time. The bulk of those people are already employees, guaranteed.
I just want to make sure that everybody's getting the most out of what we are sharing and talking about, because this is such a huge and powerful tool that 99% of most job seekers never tap into.
The absolute worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, is when somebody at one of these companies says, hey, my company's hiring, here's the link, and you'll see 20, 30 people that the only way they interact is to say interested. Those kind of posts, that kind of comment, again, you're not doing anything to raise your visibility with them, to raise your expertise, things like that. If you're gonna comment on something like that, what it should be is something that shows you know something about the company and about how they do business. So if you know, like, hey, I heard you guys are switching from Tableau to Microsoft or to Power BI, or, you know, I heard that you guys did that and the other thing. How is that going? Do you have somebody who's an expert in this? I found such and such. You're engaging. You're showing off your knowledge. Any questions about this?
Is posting specifically in like a group that you're in on LinkedIn different than posting to everyone, or would you follow the same rule of thumb that you just talked about?
So groups are kind of a special case. For the most part, the only people that can see that post are the people who are in that group. If it's a group that it makes sense for you to be a part of because that's, you know, your career, then yeah, absolutely post to the group. But if it's something that in general is building your area, like your authority, your image, your professional, like file, post in the group and then duplicate the post and post it on, you know, as a normal post.
So I will just to reconfirm my understanding. So you write a post and put in the hashtag, the job attraction system. So then it will only go to our group?
No. So hashtags are different. What groups are is, so if you go to the easiest way I can show you, you can search for groups, but if you go to the My Network tab on LinkedIn,
Uh-huh.
you can see groups that LinkedIn will suggest connections, they will suggest events, and eventually, if you scroll down, they'll suggest actually hashtags and groups. And so here, groups you may be interested. As an example, I am a CCIM. At one time, I was a member. I don't maintain my membership in the organization, but if I were still working in real estate, even
Mhm.
if it wasn't in sales, I would rejoin the Florida CCIM chapter and I would be posting in there because even though it's small, there's only 500 members, that's my target audience. When you get something more general like Tampa Bay Business Network or commercial real estate executives that are bigger, there's still nothing wrong with posting. These are sizable groups. It's your target market. Write the post in there. But if it's something that, hey, there might be people outside this group that I want to show off this expertise to, for what it's worth, most of my posts, I write them up in a Google Doc first so that I can get like my editing down and do the spell check and the grammar check, see how it looks, the whole 9 yards. And then I take that and copy and paste it. So I would have my Google Doc, and then once I get it done, which only for me only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to do that. And then when I click here, it's just paste, add my hashtags if I haven't done that already, figure out what people I'm tagging, and then, off to the races. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So broadening your network, and I kind of hit on this a little bit when we looked at the profile of that guy, Sonny. So what you're going to do with broadening your network is when you see those posts, when you see those guys like Sonny, what you want to do is engage. So you're going to follow those people even if you're not connected with them. And you're going to comment on their post. You're going to tag them in your posts if you think it's relevant. And you're going to like ask them for recommendations like, "Hey, I've been doing this and it's not working, or I noticed you did such and such. How did that work out? What did you do?" A lot of people, and especially if we're talking about smaller companies, a lot of executives are very active on LinkedIn because this is their target market. A lot of larger companies have people specifically, their job is go out on LinkedIn and either promote the company or look for quality employees. And then there's executives that just as part of their day to day, they're raising their own level of expertise by writing articles, publishing posts, things like that. And there's very few people engaging with them. The two like best examples I can give you from my own job search. One of my dream companies was a boat maker. They make these beautiful fishing boats. It's about 35 minutes from my house. And the president, I assume he's the owner as well, he posts on LinkedIn at least once a day. And I mean, like, including Saturday and Sunday. And he'll get that same, even though, like, he doesn't have, hundreds of thousands of followers, got a few thousand. Anybody who comments, he responds. I'm not connected to him. We're second degree connection. He has responded every time I've commented on one of his posts. And at one time, he put out a post saying, "I'm looking for tradespeople, and here's my personal email address." And he posted that on a Friday. So when I got off work, I sat down, I grabbed his email address out of his post, and I emailed him and said, "Hey, I'm not a tradesperson, but these are the skills. I'm actively looking for a job. This is why I would want to work for you." And I talked about like how much I love fishing and boating and the water and how I grew up on it. And, maybe 2 paragraphs, attached my resume, sent it off to him at 6:30 on a Friday evening. I got a response on 7:30 on Saturday morning from him. And his response was, I really appreciate you sending this. I don't need somebody with your skill set right now, but I'm really impressed and I'm saving your resume. Not an automated response, a personalized response from the guy that could, walk in and say, hire this person. That's the type of response I got. So this is how you broaden your network. The next thing is like request when you want to actively look for people at your dream companies that you can connect with. You should be connecting with them, trying to connect. And the last thing is when you get that little notification that somebody looked at your profile, they found you for a reason. Now, I'm not saying accept every connection request you get, but go look at them. Look at their profile. Is there a reason why you would want to be connected with this person? If it's a belly dancer from Turkey, then probably not, right? If it's somebody who works in your industry and they're in India or England or something like that, and they're connected to people, they're networking with a similar group of people, connect with them. Doesn't matter that they're across the globe or next door. Their network is going to help you. And the instant that you connect with them, you can start tagging them in posts, getting them to comment, things like that. And now you've expanded your network in a way that you never did before. I'll post these links in the Slack group along with a couple other things later tonight. The last two things. One is everybody should be tracking your activity. So when you send a connection request, when you message somebody, when you comment on somebody's post, you want to be keeping track of that. Number one, because you don't want to be, it's very easy to fall into a rut and you're like stalking the same 5 people every day, and you don't want to do that. The second thing is that you want to know, like, how long has it been since I reached out to this person, especially with connection requests, direct messages, things like that. The last thing that I'm going to post, which I think most people in here have already, but if not, I'll send it, is this is a list of things to do like daily on LinkedIn. I've got sort of like the initial things, the stuff you do every day, and then special cases. When there's that company on your dream list and you're like, man, if there's just, I need to do something extra to get myself visible so that I can get seen, because this is just like the top of my list. There's a couple of things on there. Feel free to, ask me about any of them. I'm going to, like I said, all of these will be in the Slack group later tonight.
What I would also encourage, and I think Megan posted this in the group today, but in the Slack group, all of you guys should drop your LinkedIn links in the Slack group. It'll make it a lot easier for all of you to connect with each other. And when you're making your posts, like Adam did earlier this week, well, the week just started, or last week, was it, Adam, when you did, what did you post?
Friday,
when did,
I think.
Oh, on Friday with your video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. See, stuff like that. So when you're connecting with each other, you're seeing who's doing what post. You can look at mine. You can look at Avi's. You can look at Eileen, Beatrice. That's how you're going to start getting ideas. And, for you, Harish, and really everybody else, and I talk about this in the initial 8-step video that I think most of you have watched. Every single one of us is a product. Every company is hiring you to perform X, Y, and Z services, but they're also hiring you based on your personality and 100 million other non-tangible, things that you can't necessarily quantify, but you've got to be thinking about yourself as a product. So Adam, he wants to be producing videos, editing, etc. What's going to make him unique and different versus other individuals that want to do the exact same thing? Or Harish, who's been at FCA for a very long time. When you think of yourself as a product, just like an iPhone, think about what are the problems that you're going to be helping companies solve? What issues, what challenges are you able to offer what challenges or issues that your expertise and your value can help a company solve. That's how that's how I've always coached and trained from a very early stage in my recruiting career and then coaching. And that's really, what I want you guys to kind of take away from this, because everything that you do, whether it's on LinkedIn, how your resume, how you're speaking, how you're going to interview, that's the main theme. How are you going to help my company solve X, Y, and Z?